You know who Ice-T is, right? Hell, everyone knows who Ice-T is by this point. New York rapper. Made songs about, well, we're on YouTube, so let's say ending cops. Then played a cop on television for 20-something years. Only in America, right? Man's had a hell of a run no matter what you say about him. You know what he's doing now? Or has been doing for the last 10 years while you've been at work during the day? He's on the television. Probably between The Price is Right and whatever comes after The Price is Right. Maybe Jeopardy, I guess. Telling you that you will never pay for expensive car repairs again. Well, get this. 168,000 people actually believed him. Every single one of them got denied. And when the federal government finally stepped in and made it right, you know what the average payout was? Whatever number you've got floating around in your head right now, it was lower. You know, I was going to make you guys wait until a little bit later in the video, but $57. That's right. $57 against months of payments, against repairs they counted on being covered, against the exact promise that was made to them in that commercial. That's not a warranty. That's a collection racket with a celebrity face on it. And today, we're going to take the whole damn thing apart. Here's something I want you to notice the next time you're possibly homesick or something watching television before noon on a weekday. Look at the commercials. You've got the cheap cell phone plans. The one where everything's $30 a month and you get a free tablet if you act now. You've got the low-rate car insurance. The kind that starts at $47 and sounds like it was written on a cocktail napkin somewhere. And right between the two of them, the vehicle warranty commercial. You know, with Ice-T or Chris Berman, Danica Patrick with the cheesy racetrack background green screen, or the most current washed-up 50-year-old rapper, Ludacris, aka Luda. That's not a coincidence. That's an obvious targeted list. These companies know exactly who's watching at 10 in the morning. They know it's not a 32-year-old software engineer on his lunch break. It's an always unemployed pothead with a loan on a used Mustang that amounts to almost as much as his monthly rent would be if he wasn't living in his mother's basement, eating all her cereal. It's a widow on a fixed income. It's somebody with 5 kids under 10 years old, living in low-income housing, but for some reason is driving a $50,000 SUV with a credit report that has more red flags than Jeffrey Epstein's prison visitation list. My point is, they are selling fear back to people who can least afford it. And the product that they're selling, the thing they're charging $80 to $125 a month for, is engineered from the contract up to deny the exact claim that person is going to make. Let me show you how this works. Every one of these contracts has a denial playbook. It's buried in the fine print, of course. It's written by lawyers who have never turned a wrench in their lives and whose entire job is to find the sentence that lets the company walk away clean when you need them the most. Here's the playbook. 5 moves, all real. Move number 1, the oil change trap. 500 miles past your scheduled oil change. Not 5,000, not 10,000, 500 miles. The engine develops a problem that has absolutely nothing to do with oil, nothing to do with the maintenance intervals, nothing that any honest mechanic would connect to that oil change. Doesn't matter. Denied. Failure to maintain the vehicle per manufacturer specifications. 500 miles. That's it. That's all they need. They don't have to prove a connection between the oil change and the failure. They just need a reason to type the word denial and close the file. All right, move number 2. Continued operating after a known failure. This one is my personal favorite because of how twisted it truly is. Real story here. Man is driving his truck on the highway. Hears a noise. Pulls over immediately. Gets out. Looks under the hood. Sees nothing obviously wrong. Drives directly to the dealership. Extended warranty company denies his claim. Their argument? He continued to operate the vehicle after a known failure. He pulled over. He inspected it. He drove it to the dealership. He did everything right, and they used it against him. Because the contract doesn't say you have to do something reckless, it just says if there's any argument to be made that you kept driving after something was wrong, they're going to make that argument. Whether it holds up in a courtroom is a different question. Most people don't have the money or the time to find out. All right, move number 3, the pre-existing condition. You buy coverage in January, something fails in March. The warranty company takes one look at the repair order and says that failure was already in progress before you bought the contract. How do they know? They don't. They send an inspector. The inspector looks at the part that failed, and the inspector, who works for the warranty company, by the way, not for you, decided that, yeah, it looks like it had been going on for a while. That's their standard of proof. The guy they employ saying it looks old to him. Pre-existing condition, denied. Move number 4, the seals and gaskets clause. This one was written specifically for truck owners, and GM owners need to hear it loud and clear. You've got a Silverado with a 5.3. Lifters go. Big repair. We're talking thousands of dollars. Exactly the kind of catastrophic failure you bought the coverage for, right? But read the contract. Find the seals and gaskets exclusions. It's in there. A lot of these contracts exclude seals and gaskets even when they're not the primary cause of failure. Lifter failure involves seals, therefore denied. That clause did not end up in the contract by accident. Someone put it in there knowing exactly what trucks fail and exactly what parts are involved when they do. That's not boilerplate. That's a trap. Move number 5, and most truck guys are familiar with this one from auto manufacturer warranties. The modification gotcha. You put an aftermarket air intake on your truck, maybe a leveling kit, maybe a programmer. Things truck owners do. Transmission fails 18 months later. Doesn't really matter that your air intake has absolutely no relationship with that transmission. Doesn't matter that your leveling kit didn't touch the drivetrain. You modified the vehicle. The contract has language about modifications. They're using it. Denied. There's 5 moves, all in the contract, all legal, all designed to make sure the money flows one direction, towards them, and stops flowing the minute you actually need it. Now, let's talk about who's getting rich. Because this isn't just the iced tea operation. This goes all the way into the showroom, directly into the finance office where you're sitting exhausted after 3 hours of negotiating the price of your truck, and some guy in a pressed shirt slides a menu across the desk and starts talking to you about peace of mind. Here's the number that they don't put in the commercial. Extended warranty profit margins at dealerships regularly exceed 50%. F&I products, that's the warranty, the gap insurance, the paint protection, all of it, now represent 25% of total dealership gross profit, up from 15% in 2009. AutoNation, one of the biggest dealer groups in the country, reported nearly $3,000 in F&I profit per vehicle in the fourth quarter of 2025. $3,000 per vehicle on top of what they made selling you that truck. And those third-party companies running the TV commercials, they collect premiums every month and pay out somewhere between 50 and 76 cents on the dollar in actual claims. The rest, it's their money. Between 2019 and 2022 alone, just 3 years, CarShield generated $600 million in commissions. $600 million for a product the federal government later described as riddled with exclusions that customers didn't know about until after they'd already paid. $600 million, and Ice-T's people made sure he was front and center for the whole ride. Now, to their credit, and I do say that loosely, the Federal Trade Commission eventually showed up. July 2024, the FTC filed a complaint against CarShield and their contractor administrator, American Auto Shield. The charges: deceptive advertising, misleading telemarketing, A product that promised, quote, "You'll never pay for expensive car repairs again," unquote, and then systemically denied the claims of people who believed that. CarShield settled for $10 million. Sounds like justice, I guess, right? Let's do some math real quick. $10 million divided by 168,179 people who got denied. That's $57 and change per person, so there's that. If you paid $100 a month for 2 years, that's $2,400 you put in, and your claim got denied, and the government made it right. You got $57 and some change back. That's not accountability. That's a rounding error. That's the cost of doing business. That's a parking ticket on a $600 million operation. And here's the part that really ought to make your blood pressure tick up. CarShield is still operating, still advertising. They just have to be a little more careful about exactly which promises they make now. The machine, it just keeps running now, doesn't it? Okay, I want to make sure we're clear on something before we get to the close. I'm not saying every extended warranty product is worthless. I'm not saying you should never buy coverage. Some people, in some situations, with some vehicles, factory-backed powertrain coverage on a new truck, for example, that can make sense. What I'm saying is this. The product being sold on daytime television to the most financially vulnerable truck and car owners in America is not that product. It is a product designed to collect your money and find a reason, any reason, to keep it when you need it back. And the product being slid across the desk in the F&I office at 80 miles an hour while you're tired and just want to go home with your new truck is the same game with a different suit. Know what you're buying before you sign anything. Here's what you do. Number one, never, and I mean never, buy an extended warranty in the finance office under pressure. You have the legal right to come back and add it later. Anyone who tells you the deal expires when you leave that chair is lying to you. Walk out, go home, think about it. 2, if you're going to buy coverage, buy manufacturer-backed, factory powertrain warranty from the brand that built the truck, not a third-party contract administered by a company in Colorado you've never heard of and can't find on a map. 3rd, before you buy anything, read the exclusions list, not the benefits, not what it covers. Read what it doesn't cover. Read it out loud if you have to. If seals and gaskets aren't covered, if modifications void the contract, if there's a pre-existing condition clause with no inspection to establish a baseline, put it down and walk away. All right, number 4, if you're already in one of these contracts, pull it out tonight. How about right now? Read it. Know what they can deny you for before you're stranded in a service bay with a $4,000 repair order in your hand, trying to remember what page that exclusion was on. They built this disgusting machine to take your money. Don't make it so easy for them to do so. I'm the Highwayman, and I'll see you at the next exit.